Make a motion that council cancels the regular scheduled meeting of council on July 28th, 2015, and that council cancels the regular scheduled meeting of council on September 22nd, 2015.
All right. Comments? Councillor Danaka?
I was leaning more to rescheduling them because we'll be we'll be starting our budget deliberations coming up. I think we still need to meet to get the budget set up and carry on.
I agree with you that we do need to focus on our budget probably in early August and get it set up. I don't want to see this dragged out till March or April next year again, like the last two. However, I think those are going to be special meetings of council, not regular meetings of council. I hope so. I hope we put time and effort into it.
Verbatim.
Oh, okay.
I actually agree with Councillor Danaka because I believe that we're going to have a new treasurer starting in July 20th, and I think that the meeting should be, we should be talking to this new treasurer. We're going to be having the report from the HR consultant, and I'm sure that they're going to be wanting action on that. So I believe that the rescheduling would make more sense than just canceling them.
Again, I'd have to echo what Councillor Hunter said. I hope we're doing either workshops, special budget meetings. I really hope we beat the next budget to death so that we know exactly what's happening, and to do it during a regular council meeting doesn't make sense. As far as the reports, again, that could be a workshop where we can sit down and talk with Public Works, see what their thoughts are, how they want to proceed with it. To do it during a regular scheduled council meeting, I think is inappropriate. I think we should be doing it, like I say, in either workshops. I think we can forego 2 council meetings. We want lower taxes. Well, there you go. You can save $1,400. Make up for the porta potty.
I'm just curious on, Brian, what do you see coming up for these council meetings? Do you see anything big on the agenda or missing them?
It's just all of our requests for proposals, the stuff that we're going to be dealing on, that stuff for the hiring of the CAO. That company has to come in there. Okay. I think there will be some important things coming up in the next, I wouldn't say so much in the end of July here, but the September one for sure.
Okay, yeah, I can, and I think I also agree that with the hiring of the CAO and getting together, it would with the headhunting agency, that's going to be another special meeting of council. So I think there are going to be a few special meetings of council. So from my way of thinking, I'm all right with canceling the one, but maybe keeping the one in September. Canceling July, keeping the one in September. Because we are going to have some special meetings, both for the headhunter and with budget meetings coming up too. That's my thoughts.
Just as long as you realize that special meetings they don't deal with regular business, I don't believe. It's only the one item that, or the agenda, the reason you're calling the special meeting, not for regular council business. So you can't be doing.
No, that's right. Yeah.
You won't be dealing with any regular council.
Okay. So we had a motion to cancel the 2 meetings. All those in favor? Opposed? Anybody want to make a new motion? No. I'd make a motion then that council cancels the July 28th meeting and moves the September 22nd meeting to the 29th. All right, we've talked about already. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moving on to sponsorship request for ADOA conference. Councillor Enter.
Make a motion that council receive the request for sponsorship for the 2015 AD08 conference for information.
Anyone speaking against this?
I only say, Mr. Chair, that this is a conference that is being put on by our three neighbors, and to be the odd man out on this is not very neighborly. So I guess the thing is, when we go to ask for support, if in anything that we put on, we're pretty well burning our bridges as to, are you going to, if we don't help our neighbors, why should they help us? That's all I have to say.
All right, Councillor Enter.
Mr. Chair, I bring to council's attention that we did sponsor, I think it was for a watershed meeting in Slave Lake, and we've attended multiple meetings in Slave Lake. I haven't seen any coordinated events in the town of High Prairie yet. I wouldn't mind if there are some. This event will most likely move to, say, central or southern Alberta next year, and then it might move to some northeast. You know what? I'd like the money to start coming back to High Prairie. So let's sponsor something here, or let's coordinate an event here.
All right. And I know this one, just my comments, is for development officers, or sort of economic development officers, and we don't really have one of those in place in our town, so it's one of those that we're not going to necessarily get a big part of. Was anybody planning on attending this, Brian, from the town?
Not that I'm aware of.
No? So, okay, so I'm on the fence on this one, cause I do see, like you say, we gotta be good partners with some of our neighbors, but if it's one that we're not going to attend, I'm not sure. All right, all those in favor of receiving for information? Oh yeah, sorry, that one's, okay. Carried, moving on.
Make a motion that council receives the library's capital reserve account for information.
All right,
Would we like to invite the members forward at all?
would you like to come up and speak
I don't
on
know,
it?
is council gonna say anything on this first, or?
Yeah,
Well, that's part of
you
the
can
motion.
talk part of it.
Good evening, councillors, mayor, thank you for having us. I'd like to introduce you to Ken Fraser from Libraries Branch of Municipal Affairs, and he's here to answer the questions you might have in pertaining to our budget and how it goes with the Libraries Act. I'll let him do the talking.
Okay. Go ahead.
I do have one question, actually. So it was brought to our attention that there was extra funds by mistake that was brought into the budget from the town.
Okay.
My only question is, did the county match these funds? If so, then we're good. I don't care anymore. It's a done deal. If the county didn't, my request would be that the library contact the county, make them aware of the extra funds that were brought in from the town, please match, and away we go. And then you've got more money. Right, and then you have more money, so if they didn't.
That would be a question or a thought for you, I think.
Well, we searched back again, and I found some minutes that from the previous auditors, and I passed that information on to Donna. And it looks like that overpayment, from what I can understand, and I asked Brian to check maybe you guys' auditor's report, wasn't technically an overpayment, but it was from the period 2005 to 2008, when the MD was getting their grant money through you guys and giving it to the library. And that's the way I understood those minutes. I've asked Brian to check your auditor's report for the same year. She reported that to us in 2014.
Can you explain that again? Just
Sorry,
the last
yeah.
part, it was going from the MD to us, to you?
The government grants were coming to the town, but the MD's portion as well was coming to you guys.
Oh.
And then we gave it to you.
And then we gave.
Yeah, and that's, from what I can
So
understand
then-
from the minutes from
So So it's
from the
matched,
auditors, yeah,
right? So then it's matched.
yeah.
Well, then
Yes.
we're good.
Even though on paper, it looks like the town has paid more than the MD, it actually has worked out to being matched, and that's sort of where the confusion came, because the auditors had identified that. And then David found it this year as the accountant saying, well, there's this overpayment.
Yeah, and David
But
didn't
it
quite
really
understand it.
Technically,
Yeah.
I guess really wasn't an overpayment in the sense that it just shows up on the budget and on the accounting side of it as an overpayment because of the way it was done for that period of 2005 to 2008, where the grant was coming to the town, so it looked like the town
It gave more to the
paid
library.
more than the MD.
Because at the time, the MD still weren't members of the Peace Library System, and the MD residents were allowed to use the library, but they weren't allowed to. There were certain things they weren't allowed to do because they weren't members of the Peace Library System, but the money was funneling that way.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What year did the town and the MD contribute to you, to the library board? Like, what years did you start going and requesting funding from, in meeting with the MD council? Do you remember?
They've been doing that since before I've been on the board, and I've been on the board over 12 years. I mean, I think that's been an agreement pretty much since the library opened. It's just that the MD was funneling their money different until
That's
they.
right. I
yeah.
couldn't see where the county or the MD were paying the town, and then
And you guys are putting the money to us, yeah.
if you were going there and requesting funds from them.
So that was the PLS funding, I believe. Like I said, we're still trying to discover it, the exact, but that's, like I said, if you had got your auditors to check into it as well, because all I got is the report she gave us. And I'm thinking she might have given you guys, because that had been an ongoing issue for a few years about that line saying you guys paid more, and we had them do an in-depth report last year.
If I can just mention something with the, I don't understand this situation exactly. I heard a little bit about it just today, but there is that issue that you provide money to your local library board, but you also as a municipality are a member of the Peace Library System, so you're sending some money in that direction as well. And I think I understood that that was kind of flowing through the library, and the county would be doing they would be a member as well, and they'd be paying that money to the system as well, and they probably weren't doing it, they were probably just doing it directly. So there's two streams of money, both to the municipal library board and to the Peace Library System, just so you know that.
So just to clarify though, I thought earlier we'd said that between 2005, 2008 is when this discrepancy occurred. And then, but it appears that the MD has been paying the 50% or whatever it is prior to 2003.
Yeah.
Right, because you've been here for 12 years or more roughly, you said. So then, but they might have been paying it through the town or directly to you. They've just been doing the 50-50 split for more than the 12 years.
No.
Okay. And in the end, we believe it was matched, right?
That's the best of our knowledge, yeah. But I just thought you might explain a little bit more about us being an independent corporation, as it were. We're responsible for the money from all the different.
Sure, I just was asked to come up just because of the way that the resolution was worded as I read it. In legal terms, with the library board being an independent corporate body from the town, formed by the town but independent or separate, the finances of the library and that capital reserve isn't actually, the town doesn't have a claim on that, and so there's really no mechanism by which you could sort of go and take that back. You make your funding choices every year as to how much you choose to give in a municipal appropriation, and that is in your control sort of year by year, but those funds kind of there.
Yeah, the only flip side would be, well, the next year we could take 36,000 less.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your budget would be 200,000 and we'd say, okay, well, here's 164.
Yeah. And
When
then it
you
would
do
be
that also, though, then in the end, the county would drop our funding
That's
as
right.
well.
Yeah.
So,
and it would be up to the library board at that point to decide how they were going to deal with that funding shortfall.
yeah, that's clearly understood. Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
If I may to speak on the prior issue, you didn't really need me here very much for this issue, but I'm still glad I came because I was really interested to hear that, about this possibility of a partnership that might include the library. It's very exciting, and I just wanted to make an offer to you folks. We actually have we've done a lot of research into schoolhouse public libraries. One of our staff in my office has actually visited every schoolhouse library in Alberta this year, which was quite a mammoth undertaking. And so we're doing some research and we're writing some reports and stuff like that. So if you are interested in hearing sort of, getting some input, we'd be really happy to contribute anything we can.
Would it be possible for also a letter of support in addition to the 3-4 parties already?
Sure. Any choice, to sort of join a partnership would be the Municipal Library Board, local autonomy rules. What we would be, I think what we could contribute more than, we certainly would support, a project going forward if the library board was behind it. What we could provide would be probably more sort of consultative support, and we'd be happy to do that.
I'm just curious what the research that you've done is. I'm sure there's other communities that have shared libraries.
Lots of them.
And how successful have those been?
If I was to sort of summarize, there are some really good ones, there are some not so good ones. You really need to plan it out. Success is not guaranteed. There are obvious sort of advantages to be realized, but there are differences in the mission and mandate of schools versus public libraries. Some quite significant differences around who you want in the building and things like that. They're all surmountable. Things like a separate entrance, for example, for the library makes a huge difference. You just have to sort of watch the details and plan it carefully, I would say. And of course, the governance thing as well, that the library is usually the smallest, one in the room in these kinds of projects. So there needs to be just care taken with sort of consulting with the library board and sort of thinking the project through and having it work for them. It doesn't necessarily end up costing more to have it work for them, but if they're there at the table right at the beginning, the space works for them and it works better.
So you have some of those recommendations and those things to look out for that could be brought to the table if this project did go ahead?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, that's good.
Ken's already committed to coming down for the first meeting we're invited to.
Oh, okay.
It might be Jan who comes, who's my colleague, who again has been to everyone in Alberta, so she has very deep knowledge. I'd like to just provide my card to you folks if you wanted to talk to us about that.
Thank you.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much. And hopefully we'll be seeing you again when this project gets moving.
Yeah, exciting.
If we can make it happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to receive the capital reserve account for information. And that basically means that there won't be anything else coming out of it. It'll be a done deal, right? That's the understanding?
Okay, so we're receiving it for information, and are we going to then discuss when the budget comes due? Or are we just saying, yeah, go ahead and
It's just over.
it's just over? Okay.
I think it's, and I don't know, do we need to send a letter or anything regarding this? No, it just needs to be.
You need a letter? No, I don't think so.
Just to go away.
It remains in their capital reserve and everything is good.
I think
They
this
manage
council-
it and go from there.
I think this council has more than beat up our beautiful town library enough, so I'm hoping this puts everything to rest and we can leave the library alone for the rest of the year.
All right, all those in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to outstanding citizen nomination. Councillor Danaka.
I move that council receive the outstanding citizen nomination policy for information.
Okay.
I just wanna see what one is in your package, just go over to the next page. I did an update in here. I did the application process, I added this in, and then I redo that. Nancy, do you have other copies of the new?
This one?
The 4-page
White
one.
one?
In our mailbox.
Or
Yeah,
was-
came in the mailbox.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Are they sold in the mailbox?
Yes.
Okay.
So
It has,
it's not in this
It's not,
package though,
no.
and it's not in the public's?
yeah,
Came in
this,
the
this
mailbox.
one here had that the nominee is not chosen for consideration for the first year of nomination. Special consideration shall be given if nominated again on the following year.
Oh, okay.
That was the only
If
change.
you got it, it has a number 1 at the top.
I'd like to, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Councillor Danaka the reason for a motion.
The reason for my motion is that, over the years, I think this, particular, honor has lost its luster. It has, I'm sorry to say, but I feel that it's really lost the initial intent of what it was made for. I think we either suspend for a year, talk about it next year. That's the reason for receiving for information.
We'll go Mayor Cox and then.
I support Councillor Danaka's thoughts, and I believe that in that year that we suspended, that we come up with a method to nominate outstanding citizens that we're satisfied with.
Councillor Danaka, so,
Um,
oh, right,
No, that's okay.
yeah, okay.
when we relook at this particular, nomination, or, I think we should look at somehow making it, a celebration. So it's just not, a simple, here's your award, thank you very much. I think we should make it into something that will bring the town citizens out to celebrate, a barbecue, something. You know, a cake, something that will include everybody in celebrating whoever it is that wins this nomination.
Okay, sorry.
And that's why we looked at a different date, because it
Right.
was too hectic with it was
Yeah,
already on
yes.
the rodeo, first day of the rodeo, so that's why I, looked at changing the dates for to have the nomination in for the first Monday of March of the year. And, I contacted the chamber, the president was gone away, but I phoned Gordon Olson, being the past president, and he said the chamber probably would take this on. So, just, that council, all that.
Cause I know with the last year we did it, there was Mayor Cox who gave the speech and thanked them, the 4 recipients and myself. That was it. That's all that came. So, to me, again, that's why I did for information, cause it's really lost its significance.
And again, it was the timing, I believe, that it was so hectic with the sports palace, and it was right after the parade, and
Last year's was in, what, June?
No,
No,
wasn't it right after the parade?
No, it wasn't.
it was.
I'm pretty sure it was because we had the dice, the podium was kind of not quite right.
I don't think it was.
The one that was in June is the, volunteer appreciation for FCSS, and it's an actual dinner over at
And
Eva's.
nobody showed for that one.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, my thoughts on it is perhaps we could give this a try in the new time and with a different timing and see if it helps to bring more out. And I agree to try and get more people out, maybe have a barbecue or a cake available so that they get something. You know, something to maybe draw some people out to it. But I like the idea of still nominating somebody and, you know, special recognition, and that's where I'm coming from. That would be my thoughts. Any comments, Councillor Carrier? Okay. Councillor Empter? No. So we have a motion to receive for information. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councillor Carrier.
Make a motion that council approve the closure of the town office on July 28th, 2015 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay, anyone speaking against this motion? All those in favor? Carried. Moving on then to our CAO written report, Councillor Carrier.
Make a motion that council receive the acting CAO Brian Martinson's written and verbal report and action list for information.
Whoa, this one?
Which one? We did that. We
Did-
voted.
That's the one we just voted on, was
Closing the
the,
office.
I thought we just did the parade one.
No, the motion was to close the office from 11.
CAO, what's the CAO recruitment 5X, DX?
That's going into in camera.
Oh, that's the in camera?
That's
Okay,
that one.
sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. Councillor Empter.
Just a few comments. I'm assuming because the taxes dropped, everybody in town's so bloody happy, nobody showed up for the open house with Warren Powers.
Moving Mayor Cox.
Mayor Cox showed up. Oh, that's great. I hope you guys had a lovely chat.
We did, we talked about, possible different methods of encouraging development in town,
Good.
commercial development. He gave me 2 or 3 good ideas, and I phoned the mayor of Hinton, and, cause he had a good idea, and I'm gonna follow up further on and bring it back as an RFP.
Excellent. Love that the RFP for the wired microphone systems have been sent out. Thank you, CAO. The development clerk. So our development clerk is no longer with us. We've hired a new lady to act as an interim, and I guess she'll be covering a couple other positions off and on. So looks like she might be here for a little bit at least. And we met our new constable. No, good report.
Wanna introduce Mayor?
Yeah. I'd like to introduce you to Marion.
Hello, Marion.
She's here tonight because Nancy will be going on holiday, so I have to have somebody to cover off. So this will be one of her hats.
Oh, okay.
Don't you have to work before you get vacation?
That's true.
Brian, one question was, intern, that she's been hired intern to cover, is,
It's basically on maternity leave.
okay.
May Valdez is
But what
expecting.
about Kelly's position?
I just combined it right now to find out who the new CAO is and let him make that decision at that time.
Okay.
I don't believe we need it right now, so I've been covering off on it, and we've been training Marion also in both positions.
Okay, perfect. Mayor Cox.
How many development permits have we issued? Any ideas? Any ideas what number you're on?
I'm not off the top of my head. I can email it out to you if you wish.
I would just be curious. I know a lot of them are fences or, sheds or stuff like that, but.
Minor development,
So there's no development permit for a fence as long as it meets our bylaws. Our land use bylaws.
So
If
it
it meets
might be
that, there's none. But a lot of the
Shed?
fences don't, and there's still no permit. Sore topic, we'll skip that.
Yes, there are some sheds that are being built around town, so
Yeah.
hopefully
so
the
oversized sheds.
oversized sheds. Okay, so I have a question actually regarding, motion 41015, and that was to speak, to write a letter to the Elks, saying that we're in-kind donation for the, Elks Pro Rodeo. And I saw the letter go out, but I did not know, has there been a response?
I talked to Rick Courtney,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically said that what we're doing is fine with that.
Oh, okay.
They will, with
So
what
they'll run our
we're
flag, will they?
doing with putting the banners up, taking them down and doing the parade route for them and cleaning after, they were happy with that.
Okay.
Good.
For us then.
Excellent.
What position does Rick Courtney hold? Is he the exalted ruler?
I don't
Rodeo
think so.
chairperson?
Mike joined us, sorry.
That's right.
Yeah,
On the board, so,
sorry.
great.
Okay.
Well, just had one question. I drew up a new janitorial contract. Do we advertise or for those or?
I
just-
basically took the existing lady that has the contract here. She had a contract on a year-to-year basis, and we kept her at the same rate, so until that contract would expire. And in the new contract that I drew up, I didn't recognize this part. I made sure that that side was separate, so she wasn't charging us for the whole building as that side would be vacant till at that time that it is occupied. So it's the same rate, we're not increasing or whatever, so I just amended the existing.
Okay.
And one of the things I put in there was no cleaning during council meeting or board or committee meetings, but I see they're here again tonight, so
Well, they weren't vacuuming.
that's irks me that.
Okay, any other questions? We've got a motion to receive his report for information. All those in favor? Carried? Oh, sorry. Did you have your hand up? I thought it went up and then it went down. I wasn't sure.
Sure.
Go ahead, Councillor Carey.
That council received the check listing for council for June 10th to June 23rd, 2015 for information.
All right.
Could I ask our CAO, is it okay for us just to contact,
I need it.
Anita
Yeah.
directly and just
Yeah,
have
if
any
you have any
questions?
questions, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor? Carried.
Gotta get
All
my
right,
name in
yeah, you
once.
get it.
Council receives the June 2015 report from FCSS for information.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried. Moving on, 7.0 EDA Ministry Dinner.
Make a motion that council receive the information for the, receive the invitation for the 2015 ministry dinner on October 29, 2015 for information.
Okay, anyone speaking against this? No? All those in favor? Carried. Moving on to facilitation of organizational workshop. Councillor Carrier.
Make a motion that council receives a facilitation of organizational workshop services for information.
Okay. Councillor.
Mr. Chair, I really, I like the proposal. I'd like to do this proposal. I'd like to wait until spring. Or much later this fall, once we have a better picture of everything going on. That's all, but I do like this.
Much later this fall, Councillor Amter, what's more later than December 9th?
Or I meant the spring.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Not at all this fall, just move into the spring. And what would be the rationale behind?
Again, I'd like to have a complete picture on our finances, where we're at fiscally for our operations, capital expenditure. The report will come back on our buildings,
Yeah.
and what money's gonna be there. It is a goal setting, helps us refocus, but right now, I'm being penny pincher.
Okay.
These were
Those are optional dates?
2000.
Yeah, I wanna wait till the accountant comes in and gives us updates, and I wanna see where we are financially.
Okay.
My question to you, Mr. Chair, I know this is your R&D. Why not use Angelo? I mean,
It's moving.
he's moving. Is there anybody else that we could have got? I know that we got to use Angelo for free. My disappointment in this is we have one. we don't refer to it ever. So is this just gonna be another bunch of meetings, a bunch of evenings spent on another document that sits on the shelf and nobody looks at it? Again, we have a 10-year capital plan. I don't see people referring to it very often. We've already done this one with goals. I don't hear council referring to it, making that their priority when they're doing the RFPs and trying to set the stage of where this town is moving forward. Unfortunately, I see us being bogged down in my opinion, micromanaging. We've set our goals, we've set our objectives. Why isn't that the main focus of our agendas? To move this community forward and we already have one and we're not using it. So if we're not gonna use it, why spend thousands of dollars to have another piece of paper to sit on the shelf?
I can address some of those issues, not all of them, but I think one of the issues with our current strategic plan is it didn't come with a very good action list and it wasn't a really strong workable plan. Because I agree with you, our strategic plan is something that we should be using regularly and referring to regularly, and it should guide everything that we're doing, you know, as a council and as administration. And I think that's the reason why I think it might be worth the money to get one that comes very well done. And I wanted to look into and find out about this person because they come very highly recommended from the town of Slave Lake who's used them. And one of the things that they came out of there was very workable strategic plans. And this person works with, not to be our strategic plan, in my opinion, was very, very optimistic in what we could accomplish in a reasonable time frame. This person apparently does a very good job of getting it down into what's manageable, what's realistic, and then you measure how the town is progressing based on that. So it's something that's very achievable, it's not outlandish, and it gets down to very action-orientated items, and you do need to use it. So my thoughts are I would really like to have seen this done before we go into the budgeting process, because I think a good strategic plan will drive what we budget for also. And that's, for me, the timing isn't as good as I would like to see it, but other than that, they did come well recommended.
I can see where this would be of benefit. However, I feel that a lot of our, I would like to do this after we hire a CAO. I think that a CAO would help us work through a good strategic plan. Doing this would be almost like having, well, this would be a CAO doing this type of thing. And then you need the CAO involved in this. And the one we hire, this is what I'd be looking for, is strength in this kind of planning for us, with us, not for us, but planning with us. And I think that until we get a CAO, and we're weak, we're very weak in this kind of thing. You're right, the strategic plan should be right here with the goals, helping us when we're setting our budget, doing this and that. And I've seen some good strategic plans from other towns, and they're exactly what you say. Here's the goal, and this is the measurement, and community is a nice place to live. Okay, what were the goals to make this a good place to live? That type of thing. So in saying that, I would prefer to wait until we have a CAO and then move forward with a good workshop on this. Always thinking that are we going to have it during a day rather than a rushed night.
Councillor Danaka.
Well, I mean, it is on one of the interim CAO's action list to deal with the strategic plan in July, but July is over and it's an ongoing issue. And I mean, basically, we spent all of that time with Angelo picking goals and whatever, and I mean, we've yet to actually have a copy, a working copy that, you know, in our hands that we can look at, and as Councillor Carrier said, I mean, we've made those goals, that's what we wanted to see, so we should have that to refer to how we are moving, how are we achieving them, are we measuring them, these are what we set out to do. We need those to, so we can see that we've achieved what we wanted to achieve. And I agree, without having the CAO present here and doing it now is probably not a viable option. But I mean, the dates are December, January, February of, you know, next year kind of thing, so.
Just one other thing, just to add is, and I know that, our previous CAO worked with, my son and had them tweak the strategic plan in terms of rewriting the goals and objectives to make them more measurable. I've never seen the finished product. It would be nice if we got even started with that, and maybe at this point in time we could start with that, re-look at it, come up with a plan. There is another person that is doing Angelo's job in this region that I'm sure we could request to help us get through that. So we could do that, and that might be good to get us through the next reiteration, and maybe it would, we know what we want a little bit better now, we can drive the process a little bit better. Might be a way to go. This was the other thing with this, that with this particular one and the cost, we might be able to lower some of the costs if we partnered with other organizations that might want to do strategic planning at the same time. Bring them down to do a couple of strategic plans at once. But I think, I know, you know, we've been talking about budgets, and I'd like to see our strategic plan foremost in our mind before we start with the budgeting process, so we know what our priorities are. So, and this person won't be available until after that. So I think from my point of view, it would be better to maybe go on another route, maybe look at this person for 2016 or later if we get a good strategic plan this time around. That's my thoughts. Any other comments? So we have to receive this for information. All those in favor?
How do we get the revamped copy of the strategic plan?
Good question. I'll ask. You
I
have,
haven't seen it.
you haven't seen it? Is it in the records in the
Which
office?
I'll have to give
No, Angela wouldn't have it.
No, it's just Kelly and.
It was Kelly and my son and.
I'll check the emails, the CAO emails tomorrow.
Okay.
And my only comment on strategic plans is they're when they have concrete goals, like your 10-year capital plan, it's a hell of a lot easier than when you have a goal that is
That's right.
making business come to town. Great.
Yeah. And that's the thing that we're missing in our plan, is it's gotta be very concrete and very measurable, and ours wasn't that way. All right,
Yeah, we did already.
so moving on to written and verbal reports, Mayor Cox.
You received my book. I move for information. I think he's blushing.
No, I find it hot in here now. Cough is getting to me or something.
Blushing.
Yes, I'm blushing.
Just on your report as the Alberta Alert, Emergency Alert Training, we sort of, as a council or as a town, need to decide who's gonna be putting out those alerts. I don't, maybe it is the council members that should, maybe it should be the fire chief, maybe it should be the peace officer, I'm not sure.
Should be part of our,
We have an emergency plan meeting coming up.
yeah, let's move into that. And I
Okay.
agree, it's, cause I don't really wanna write those alerts.
Yeah.
I got the email
And
that
Ken
has
has
it.
that, but they suggested that more than one
Yes.
person. And if they already have that in case he's unavailable, then either one of you two.
Yeah.
And the people who gave that, speech, and now that there's just a small group here, they were very paramilitary, very, very serious. I mean, great, with great whatever comes great responsibility, da-da-da-da. So I went home and I said to Denny, I said, I want you to start listening to the news around 6 o'clock every night, because when I'm not gonna be home for dinner, I can let you know. It'll break in. Mind you, that joke would not have gone over well in Peace River, let me tell you. Yeah. So. Any other questions on it? On any of this?
Okay. All those in favor of receiving for information? Carried.
And before we go, I do have one other piece of information, and it was from Dennis Perry. They're having their grand opening on July 24th. They're doing a ribbon cutting at 1:30 p.m. They've asked me to speak, and they have, Dennis has asked if anyone else is interested in speaking also. So, that is on July 24th, 1:30 is when it starts, the ribbon cutting is at 2 o'clock. And we will be sending flowers, because we have a policy on it. So I'll be in touch with you about the grand opening flowers. And also, there should be a motion made, and I don't know when, for a letter to be sent to the departments regarding the land transfer. The government departments regarding our request for land transfers from the old hospital site. Do you want a motion, or how do you wanna do that, just to use the old motion?
Okay, I'm lost a little bit here.
This
So
is
the
to
old
provide-
hospital gets torn down.
Yes.
We need a new letter being sent to the government
Oh,
stating
right.
And a new government.
all
To
these
the new
all these
government.
partners are
Yes.
stepping forward. This is why we want it. And letters of support included from each. So we're gonna have to wait for those letters of support first. Create our letter, send it off as a
We
package.
can go ahead and create the letter, we'll just attach their letters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So do you want a motion to create a
For
new letter?
administration, council directs administration to draw up a letter of support, but it's not on the agenda and shouldn't be talked about.
But it is part of, we could say, her report that Carrie.
Well,
We already moved it.
Doesn't matter,
Yeah.
I will just
But
draft.
but
it.
I do wanna make a point,
Okay.
if I can, just before. We should have added the opening, there is a policy for flowers, and the flowers can be done, but if the mayor would like to speak at the opening, as a representative, as the mayor, it should have been approved by council, so we should have had that on the agenda.
I just found out today, so what are you gonna do, put it
Add
on
it
as
to
an
the
emergency?
agenda.
We can add
We
it.
can make a motion right now if you want, but we should have done all this properly, that's all.
If you
It's
find-
actually in, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
It's actually in the, wherever I got it here, the procedural bylaw, we can add stuff during the meeting if things come to light. Coming out of public delegations, again, it's in the procedural bylaw. We are allowed to make motions coming out, but it's only to direct administration for,
For public delegations or
yes,
scheduled?
it is, yeah.
It's scheduled?
Or public, any
Okay,
delegation.
or public.
Any
Okay.
delegation.
Good.
It's just to make a direction to administration, so.
Okay, so.
So
I'd
we
like to
can
make
do
a
it.
motion that, council, accepts the invitation for the mayor to speak on the July 24th grand opening of the, it's not Perry,
Martin
Deer
Farm.
line.
Martin Deerline, equipment.
Sure. All those in favor? Good.
I'd like to make a motion that council direct administration to draw up a letter, with the partners involved for the land transfer from the old hospital site to the town.
And CC the appropriate.
All parties involved. And
And
Minister of Infrastructure, Minister of Education, Minister of Healthcare.
It's in procedural bylaw, 31.8, where a delegation requests support from council, requiring a motion of council, council shall first refer the matter to administration, who shall bring back more information and a recommendation at a subsequent meeting so that council can make an informed decision.
Okay, so put it on the next,
Thank you.
and your informed decision will be a draft of the letter.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I thought we could do something addressing it, but no, you're right, okay,
I can see if there's something else in here.
yeah, no, that's
I
good.
knew you could do something.
Thank you
I
for
just
reading
wasn't
that
sure
and
what.
having it up to date.
Okay, Councillor Carrier.
I attended the municipal planning committee where we had a presentation from Mackenzie Municipal Services. There really is no information to bring forth. It was pretty much just a, here's what's gonna happen with timelines. When we have some more concrete information on how our municipal development plan is gonna work, I will bring it forth to council. As such, it was a half-hour meeting, just a quick slideshow, just describing what the steps were gonna be, so. When I have good information to bring, I will bring the information.
Okay.
Move my verbal report for information.
All those in favor? Councillor Danaka.
On my report, it's part of the agenda. Any questions,
Go ahead.
please?
As part of the, thank you for taking my place at the rec board meeting. One of my questions for the rec at the budgetary talks was the seniors barbecue. It is actually a request sent out by FCSS that we sponsor the seniors barbecue. My discussion was that it's not a recreational activity and it costs us another $2,000 a year. I'd like to know what council's opinion is. Do we want to sponsor a seniors barbecue?
Can we make that as part of the, budget deliberations?
You bet. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions? I move my report for information.
All those in favor? We've got Councillor Emster.
I have no written report to give in. I've attended no meetings since our last council meeting. However, I have been approached quite a bit and congratulated on the idea of having a incremental or increased vacant property tax. And I corrected everybody and said, actually, we received it for information. We didn't act on it, but there's a lot of people that are quite happy with the idea. So I think council may want to revisit that again. I don't know, but I've heard conflicting when I talked to another councillor, they said no. They've heard the opposite story, but the people I've been talking to were quite interested in it. They approached me.
Well, we had an idea from Mayor Cox that talked about some ideas that she had from our
Assessor.
yeah. So I'd be interested in that, and just related to that, I've done some more research into that and just through the internet, and I haven't been able to find anything really concrete that says it works for enhancing the development. I haven't gotten anybody that said it didn't work, but there are some communities that have done it, but I can't find any concrete proof that it does generate business. There's people, it says that, you know, it should, but there's nothing that says it does. So, but we need other ideas on how we can do that. And we are in a bit of a unique situation with ours, so I agree with you. We need to keep looking at how we can generate that business.
With what? We're in a unique situation with what?
Well, we have a unique situation in our community where most of the commercial land is owned by very few people. So it makes it a little bit more different than other communities.
I move my report for information.
All those in favor? Councillor Long is not here, so that's over to me. You have my report attached. Just attended the Alberta Emergency Alert Training in Peace River and the Regional Waste Authority meeting. Any questions on any of those? report for information. All those in favor? Carried. Oh, Councillor Rose has a report.
It's, she said the comments on here, nobody reported back to her, and the answers to these questions were her. So, if you can look at them and provide her comments back, she said that'd be greatly appreciated.
Where was this from? Collaborative Governance Initiative interview?
I don't know where she's at.
Something on June 19th? I'm not sure.
Okay, so it's just received for information.
Yep.
Motion approved by council to attend it?
She might have went without council approval, like with no cost or anything, just another meeting.
She might have been just a member at large.
Yeah. All those, will receive a report for information, all those in favor? Carried.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to go on camera regarding personnel.
We'll move in camera, we'll give 5-minute break and then move in camera.